Okay, so here we are at the halfway point. I made it through the first half of the album set, and so far, well, it started, as you know, with the birth and then this sort of warning, admonition of what he's going to face in life, and then it goes into his experiences in school and then with his parental relationship, and then going on to teenage, young adulthood, transitioning from childhood to the adult world, and along the way, it's marking different significant bricks in the wall. And then we get to the end of that section, where of course, he went through a divorce, and then he tried to fill some of the empty spaces with other things like sex and drugs and partying and various fillers. And then after all of that, nothing really worked, and he decided he has come to the point where he said, I don't need no arms around me. I'm going to barricade myself. I've decided to just finish the job, barricade myself behind this wall of bricks that has been building up. And then the final episode was his Goodbye Cruel World, where it sounds a bit like a suicide note, but it's not actually a suicide note, because I know that what comes next is Hey You. And so it's more like his cutting off of the world, and he's built this wall around him, and now he's securely isolated from all the world and all the people in the world, all the relationships, all the things that could give meaning and connection, but at the same time, they're the very things that helped to build this wall. So he's made this wall his savior, this safe haven, this safe space where he feels that he can be safe and he can hide from all the pain and hardship and heartbreak and tragedies and bad things that have happened to him. And that's the point at which this second half begins, where that process is complete. And so the next thing that comes is Hey You. Now, this is the one song in this whole work that I have heard. It was my first exposure to Pink Floyd some weeks ago, and so I'm going to listen to it for the sake of continuity, but I probably won't say a whole lot about it at this point. But I do want to make sure that it fits in the flow of things. So I will listen to that now, and then I'll go on to whatever comes after Hey You. And I will also include a link so that you can follow the link and go to my first listen and in-depth analysis of Hey You, which happened several weeks ago. And we'll go from there. So let's get started.
Hey you, Out there in the cold, getting lonely, getting old, can you feel me? Hey you, standing in the aisles with itchy feet and fading smiles, can you feel me?
And since you have the link to the first lesson, I just want to point out a few things on the page of what I had talked about in that first lesson. Remember I talked about home and that it doesn't really dwell at home. So in the music, this is what it looks like. This line here, there are 5 lines on the musical staff, right? So this bottom line right here, whenever you see a note that is on that line, centered on this line, then that is home in this song. Okay? And if we look through, we can see that the only place where we visit this home right here, it's a very unstressed syllable in the lyrics and unstressed part of the beat in the notes and rhythms. And so that is why, and whenever it pauses, such as right here, it's not on that home note. So if you go back and look at the first listen, you'll see where that happens. And then I will tell you when we arrive securely on home, which only happens a couple times in the entire song. All right, so we'll go on and continue.
Hey you, standing in the aisles with itchy feet and fading smiles, can you feel me? Hey you, don't help them to bury the light. Don't give in without a fight.
Okay, so this is the first place where we hear that home note arriving significantly. But even here, it's brief. The diction, the word fight, it's like, okay, just, we still don't feel like we've permanently settled here, even though it is a settling place. All right, we'll continue.
Don't give in without a fight. Hey you, out there on your own, sitting naked by the phone, would you touch me? Hey you, with your ear against the wall, waiting for someone to call out, would you touch me? Hey you, would you help me to carry the stone? Open your heart, I'm coming home.
That's I was like, should I stop it in the middle of the solo? I have to tell you, I hear what you mentioned before in my first listen, which of course I was entirely unaware because I hadn't heard the entire piece. But now I'm hearing, I don't need no arms around me. And this melody here, well, I've only heard all the other previous songs once, so I hope that I'm quoting the right song with the right lyrics. I'm going to go back and check, but I hear that this guitar solo is built off of a melody that came earlier in the work. If I pause real quick and I can go back and look. No, I'll tell you when I get to the in-depth analysis. I don't want to interrupt this too long. Okay. Now, to be kind, I will back up to just before the solo, so we can hear the solo unbroken this time.
Open your heart, I'm coming home.
I think that guitar solo comes from "We don't need no education." I think that's what it is. As I said, I have to go back and check, but that it's so nice to hear it in the context of everything that has come before now. And there may be another little quote, because there was another part of the music that sounded familiar to me, like I had heard it in an earlier song. I'm not sure. I will again look into that in the in-depth analysis phase. But I want to say that this last line, which in my first listen, I was unclear about all that was being said here. Now I understand more fully. Together we stand, divided we fall, because he has divided himself from everything. And even that guitar solo, which is quoting the brick in the wall against education, or at least the school experience that this person had. Even that comes into this idea of that's being said here, in spite of all the problems that happen in society and all the terrible experiences we go through, it doesn't do us any good to cut ourselves off, because that's not the way forward, and that's not the way to escape. It's not an escape, and that's what this song is all about. This is not an escape. Now, rather than having escaped and being safe, now this person is imprisoned in a way that causes even more desperation and distress. So, there we go. Do check out my first listen, and I will come back to this when I do the in-depth analyses of all of these songs and of the entire album, and see what else I can place in context and what other links I can find. So, that's it for this one for now. Let's see what comes next.